Hello, my name is Sammy Wakefield, an occupational therapist and the inventor of Hammie. Tamara Kittleson and I welcome you to this instructional video demonstrating how Hammie can show what happens to human bodies in various sleeping positions. We'll go over some potentially destructive lying postures, as well as therapeutic positions to prevent, counteract, and even reverse the negative impact of asymmetry, gravity, and time. We will begin by showing typical complications seen in people who sleep prone. Hammie is sitting as he spends a lot of time in a wheelchair. This often leads to limited knee and hip extension. As you can see, he cannot straighten his hip and his knee at the same time.
Hammie is now lying on his stomach, sleeping prone, with both of his arms raised up to prop him so that his head can be turned to the side and he's able to breathe. This creates problems because he's not able to straighten his legs completely, so they have to go someplace. They're going to go outward or inward or both to one side, as they are in this situation. He's also going to tend to develop a little bit more lumbar lordosis as gravity acts on his spine. And of course you can see that his flexible rib cage is being flattened with the heavy spinal column on top. Hammie is now in a more asymmetrical sleeping position with only one arm propping himself up to be able to breathe. Legs still both going in the same direction, rotating his pelvis. And having just one arm propping him up is actually causing more rotation and distortion of his rib cage. Now we will look at the carryover from this sleeping position to how Hammie will be sitting in the morning when he gets up into his wheelchair. So Hammie is now sitting in the morning after getting up from his asymmetrical prone sleeping posture all night, and you can see that he's really got some posture problems happening here. His windswept legs, he has quite a pelvic obliquity, rotation, beginning of scoliosis, and a lumbar lordosis, and upper body, shoulder, and arm asymmetries are happening here. These are the sorts of things that are likely to happen if a person spends months and years always sleeping in the similar asymmetrical sleeping position.
Many people are used to sleeping on their side. This can lead to various complicated posture problems when people cannot extend their legs freely. First, let's look at Hammie sleeping symmetrically side-lying, curled in a fetal position.
Hammie is now laying in a fairly symmetrical side-lying position. It's hard to stay lying on your side because you have a pretty small area for a base of support. He's got pillows between his knees, just like we've been taught in therapy or nursing school. He's tending to curl inward on himself in a fetal position, which we often see with people who are trying to conserve their body heat. People have a poor sense of where their body is in space or other sensory issues. So he's tending to develop a kyphosis, as well as supporting the fact that he already has tight hips and knees when he's sleeping in this position. In this position, also gravity is going to tend to flatten his chest side to side so that when you look at him from the front, his chest will be deeper, but will also look narrower. So now we can see how Hammie's sleeping position in a fetal posture all night is carrying over into his daytime sitting position. He's still got his kyphosis, his curved back, and this is orienting him so that he's looking at the floor or at his lap. He's going to need some seating interventions in order to be able to correct and accommodate this posture problem, which we now can see is consistent between his daytime and his sleeping postures. Hammie is now lying in a more complex side-lying posture that we often see in people who are resting. It's very difficult to stay exactly lying on your side because your base of support is so narrow. So it's common for the top arm and the top leg to either fall forward, fall back, or have a combination of both. In this situation, his two upper limbs are falling forward as gravity is pulling on them and they're looking for support. Since support has not been provided to help him stay more symmetrical, they've kept falling down until they finally hit the support surface that they're looking for. This is causing more rotation at Hammie's pelvis, more flattening and also rotation of his chest. People can end up with really complex side-lying postures, and this is only one example. I'd encourage you all to experiment with Hammie in different side-lying positions with different combinations of what's going on with the legs and with the arms. And as you begin to do this and then transition him to sitting, you may begin to understand that some of the posture problems that we see, particularly in the lower body, may have been brewing for months or years while your person is resting at night before you ever see them in sitting. We can now see the similarity between Hammie's asymmetrical side-lying sleeping posture and his sitting posture when he gets up in the morning. You can see that he's got quite a pelvic obliquity and rotation going, with some wind sweeping of his legs. Looking at him from the back, the scoliosis is pretty evident. His chest is rotated. One shoulder elevated more than the other, head tilted. These positions may be correctable, or it may be necessary to accommodate them. But one way or the other, Hammie is going to need some seating interventions to help him be functional and sit with stability. I really encourage you to experiment with Hammie in various different side-lying positions for yourself so that you can begin to understand exactly how many human variations you're likely to see in your work. I think you will begin to see that problems with pelvic posture and leg posture that you begin to see in sitting may have been brewing for months or years through the person's lying posture. They just weren't evident.
Supporting a symmetrical and therapeutic sleeping position is most easily done in supine. Proper alignment and distribution of pressure over a larger body area is more easily done. But the chest can still be flattened by gravity over time. This can be counteracted with lateral supports to the rib cage. Notice the taut yellow string representing the vertical sternal spinal line. Now watch how it changes when the side supports are removed and gravity flattens the chest slightly. Now see the difference when the legs cannot fully straighten.
Now we see Hammie resting supine but unable to straighten his legs as he was previously. So they need to go somewhere, and they're both going in the same direction in a windswept posture. Because they're heavy, they're dragging his pelvis over into rotation as well, and that is going to tend to influence his spine and his rib cage all the way up to his head. These sort of complicated postures may present a picture that is similar to what you might see in a person who sleeps prone or who's sleeping in a side-lying position. Now Hammie will demonstrate what to do about these problems. So first, we will accommodate Hammie's legs with supports beneath the knees so they can rest at midline and be in the middle. This way, although they can't straighten out all the way, they can still be at midline. And this is going to help level his pelvis. We're going to use side supports at Hammie's hips to keep him stabilized, side to side. And we are also going to use lateral supports at his rib cage, both to stabilize him and to help keep his chest from flattening too much. It's important to be sure that Hammie's sternum is right in the middle, that his chest is not rotated. If his chest is rotated, de-rotate it so that the sternum will be right in the middle. And of course, we're going to float Hammie's heels so he doesn't get too much pressure. And also put support at his feet to limit foot drop. And Hammie is now resting in a supported supine position.
This final supported lying posture is the goal for children or adults who do not yet have problematic posture deviations. It is protective. It may not be achievable at first for many people who have already established posture problems, but it can be an incremental goal to work toward over time. Hammie's gift is being able to visually communicate these concepts regardless of academic background, life experience, or common language. We have used Hammie to demonstrate examples of some problematic sleeping and resting postures and potential consequences. These are not exhaustive. You'll see many individual variations over time. We encourage you to use Hammie to imitate the lying postures you observe in different people, analyze their impact on the person's upright posture, and use this to teach about the importance of appropriate postural supports in lying. These demonstrations with Hammie do not provide complete training in 24-hour postural care management. You can learn more about these positioning concepts, strategies for success, and how to make lying posture supports out of simple materials by going to the resources in the credits at the end of this video.
Thank you for watching this video to help you learn how to use your new upgraded Hammie.